Welcome back to the franchise, answering your great questions that we've gotten over the last several weeks. I apologize on this one because over the next thing it doesn't say. It's sort of confusing. I think it's from John Burgoyne, but then it sort of bleeds into the next one. Hey Moose, when you're going to do these things, make sure you print the right stuff. But good afternoon, Shane. My question regards to your booking in WCW in the year 2000. Asking about the creative flow, the creative process in WCW at that time, and says, I feel like the creative booking you were given did not give you a chance to really showcase the best of your abilities in the same way you did in ECW. Did you already sense that the end of WCW was near? And then he asks about the pairing of me and Torrie Wilson. I've talked about this before, so I'll keep it abbreviated at the front end. Yes, you could sense, even though you didn't in your head believe it would happen, because this is a massive company, Time Warner. And we were still drawing fairly respectable ratings the week that we got sold, Vince had done like a high 7s, and we did like a 5.6. So it wasn't like we were, a million miles behind. But the booking was so scattergory, so scattershot. One week, Bischoff's might take precedent. The next week might be Russo's. The week after that, Kevin Nash might be, the predominant booker. It was like sort of the soup du jour, like who's booking today? Like, what are we doing today? Are we going to pick up from what we did last time? And is this going to lead into something we do the next time? And usually the answer to those were no. So yeah, you could sense that there was the foundation was cracking in WCW. I still believed in the back of my head, because we had such a talented locker room there, that sooner or later we're going to get traction and start moving in a direction. And the reason it did was because of the damn politics again, the cancer that I always talk about that kills the business. We might start getting traction and moving in a direction, and then all of a sudden that person would fall out of favor for whatever reason, because the ratings didn't jump 96 points in the first week after the booking started, which it never does. It takes time for it to settle in. It's like concrete setting. So yeah, there was a real sense that the company was foundering, but I couldn't in my wildest dreams believe that Time Warner would walk away because of the ratings they were still getting. Understand, I don't know what it is today, but back in that time, 1 hour or 1/2 hour of wrestling was exponentially cheaper than a half-hour comedy, drama, or an hour comedy or drama or movie. So I just didn't see it. It was great booking. It was great content, original content, which has become a big thing lately. It was giving them very solid original content that was fairly creative and at times special, at other times abysmal. So when you see that all over the place, you know that it's like a ship on the ocean. When it starts hitting the waves and rocking, it's not quite as fun of a voyage as it is when it's a nice glassy sea. And that was very evident. And there was always these little cliques that were popping up. And I don't mean click like the WWF clique, but the little, camps. So you had this camp over here and that camp over there. And there was always the headbutting. So yeah, it was always a sense that there was a foundering of the company. But again, I couldn't see it like going away. A couple words about Torrie Wilson. What a really professional woman. Obviously beautiful. Obviously talented. I had gone to Bischoff and said, like coming out of ECW, I had this incredible talent, Francine, to work with. And the character, the way that I played that character, that sort of was like the legitimacy, the bookend that made that character work. And, it was sort of like that doink to the eye to everybody. Hey, you sit at home, you ain't as good as me, because look at the chick I got. But both Franny and her were both incredibly professional. Torrie, as I remember, because remember, she was not as well versed into the business. It was like her front end of coming into the business at this point. She was game for anything. Would really work at whatever. And, the problem we were having was very similar to what happened when the Triple Threat and me and Francina got put together, was there was a split in the reaction. Torrie, everybody loved Torrie because she was so beautiful, that she would sort of get the, hey, all right, buddy, why were that jerk? And me, I would get booed. So I came up with a line for, don't hate me because I'm this pretty. It's not my fault I'm this much better looking than your girlfriend or wife. And when she started doing that, it worked. I mean, you could start to feel it, and you could see with her, much like Francine in the early years in ECW, you could see her catching on to that. Like, she was starting to get her feet up under her. And And then they did the thing with Goldberg. They sent Crowbar up to take that hellacious bump. We're cutting the promo coming down the stands, just really a dynamic look. And, Chris taking that bump for us off that balcony. And then flush it right down the drain with Bill. Love Bill Goldberg. Bill's always been a true pro with me. I don't mean this to sound in any way negative to him, but to the booking. You just put all that together. Chris taking that bump and us doing that promo down to the crowd, which I rarely have ever seen before. And it was working. The fans were biting into it. And then you send Bill Goldberg in to just squash it. It's like, honestly, why would you even waste the time to do that? And when I came back from the ring that week from doing that, I knew when it was laid out to me in the back. By this time, again, the camps had set up, and I knew that if I went to anybody and said, don't do this, swerve it. The way I would have done it, here comes Bill Goldberg. The beast is going to take this big mouth out and throw Torrie right in front of him. She takes the spear, right? The franchise goes, hey, screw you, Bill. Too smart for you. First of all, it's going to put a ton of heat on me, right? For throw this beautiful, dainty, 120-pound woman into this beast. And she was certainly game for it. But I knew if I said that before, the camps that didn't have me in it would say, see, Shane Douglas, he's not a team player. So I had to go out and do it as it was laid out. And then I came back and, Vince Russo met me the courtesy. Oh, man, that was great. And I grabbed him by the arm. I took him into the room and closed the door. And I said, it was the shits. He goes, what? Well, no, it was great. I said, it was the shits, Vince. He goes, why? What are you saying? What do you mean? I said, explain to him what I said to you. I said, you put me and Torrie up there to do that. The crowd was biting into it. She was getting heat. The fans hated me. You send Crowbar up there to take this hellacious bump. And he's true pro, takes it for us, sells his ass off. And then you send us to the ring and you flush it right down the drain. It made no sense. And, at this point, we were running out of people. Like, the thing with Bill, that was a very close-ended way of pushing somebody. Okay, so now that he's gone through the entire dressing room in 90 seconds, what do you start back at the beginning and now do it 60 seconds, and then 30 seconds, then 15 seconds? You've got to start giving Bill some more parameters here. And if you put him in the ring with guys like me or Raven or, so many others in that locker room at that time, I think Bill would have started getting a lot more because he would have had to become a much more, broad base of a worker. And, the flash cue to this thing is, if you don't make him do that, he will never learn it, right? If you don't have to learn it, why do it? And so it just, to me, it's so indicative of the endemic and inherent problems in WCW. These two camps would attack that camp because of this. This camp would attack those two camps or whatever. Because every week it was different. These two camps are together. Now they're over here. This one's over there. It was crazy. Every single week you got there. And my idea was just, I'm keeping my nose down and just grinding ahead because I've been fighting the politics forever. And some reason, I was always played out as the bad guy at the end of that stuff, right? Like, oh, what an asshole Shane Douglas is. But it was a special time. I valued the time working with Torrie. We see each other rarely anymore, but when we do, it's always very professional and cordial, and I really valued having her with me. So again, great question, John. Appreciate it. Please keep them coming.